Hello, hello, my beloved, amazing, magnificent women of the world. This is Dr. Angelika Christie, your show host of the show, Your Radiant Life After 45. It's a show for women who want more from life, mature women who want to make the second part of their life the very, very best. And you are here on a global platform, the only global platform that is interactive, where at any time of the day or night, because we are global, you will find an amazing show host who is not only knowledgeable, but top in her ability to share what she really knows the best in all areas of life. So check out all the other amazing shows as well. So now, without any further ado, I want to get into today's episode. And today's episode is about relationships. I want to start speaking about relationship. The last episodes were more about health, and especially I focused on how to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia, and because all of this is skyrocketing. Now I heard that Parkinson's disease is even more skyrocketing. So at some time we will get back into it, but I want to talk about relationship issues today. What you may look for in a relationship. Do you even know it? And the importance of not only knowing that, but having agreements with your partner. And what do you do to uplevel your relationship, right? Or letting go of, personal responsibility that sometimes we put too much emphasis on. And I will also speak a little bit about soulmates. Okay, so here, and this is just the first of many episodes that will cover relationships. So traditionally, women seek financial security in marriage. It's just how biology has built us, right? I don't want to go into this today, why biology has made us this way, why we are calling the male, and why the male provides and we receive, and so many other areas there. Okay, so security is a part of why some women get married, even if they know they compromise a little bit of their autonomy. This may be a protective instinct, as I said. It's biology, and therefore it is not even always consciously recognized. Well, some women are just fearful. They may be insecure and therefore look for a more sister-like or brotherly relationship, one that is more even keel, so to speak. Others may want a buddy for sports, a buddy for entertainment, for travel, to study with, to share knowledge with, or, even somebody to build a business with. All of these are reasons for a partnership, and sometimes even for marriage. Some women want someone to be comforted with, to grow old with, and to share all of their joys and their pains with that other person. And since we are all women here, I don't go into all of these different relationships. I don't speak in particular, but usually that's just me. I speak about a man and a woman when I speak about marriage. Even though I totally recognize that there are same-sex marriages, and that's fine with me, I cannot quite relate to it in the way that I can relate to when it comes to a male and a female relationship, in a marriage especially. And this is not a religious, that's more a biology thing for me. Okay, so there are many more reasons, of course, why somebody is in a particular relationship, a woman is in a particular relationships. There are actually as many reasons as your imagination can allow. It is a good exercise to maybe think about it and write down what you desire the most in a relationship and why. And this exercise is so valuable that you may want to repeat it at least every 10 years or so, yes, to see if the two of you, if you're still in a long-standing relationship, like me, my relationship is 45 years old, even though I had a break. And most of you know this, that I had a relationship, a marriage in Germany, and then another one in the Bahamas. And this was separated through divorce for 10 years, and then we married again, we came together again. But we are not talking about all of these different relationships, like different marriages, but just about knowing what you want in a relationship, and then not only finding it, but then building this. Yes. So, but would you agree that we all have an open and sometimes a hidden agenda in our relationships? Sometimes we feel lucky, and at other times we feel that we may deserve better. And occasionally we feel punished and don't know how to stay or to make it better or to let go and leave the relationship. We may be confused, and that's the worst situation. And I don't want this for anybody. And we talk more about this to find clarity in that. I have met many women who just gave up because they thought maybe it was too late for them to find a loving relationship. Because some women put themselves and their desires and even their needs behind those of their partner. And often it comes from fear of loneliness, or maybe not feeling good enough or deserving enough. And that can be unconscious, subconscious. That doesn't necessarily have to be in your conscious mind. But there may be reasons why you think like that, and you don't even know that you think like that. But especially widows and divorced women sometimes feel that it is harder to find love in a mature man. Well, since we live in a youth-oriented world, especially in the Western world, it's a youth-oriented society. And if you are in a relationship now that has gone a bit south, or maybe got a little stale, or maybe just uninspiring, I have good news. It is never too late to transform your relationship. And that will be something for another episode, because there is so much you can do, and we will go into all of the things you can do. But if you feel that it's over, and you feel that you must leave or want to leave, there is also good news, because it is never too late to love again and attract to you maybe the man who you want in your life, especially if you're widowed. And so it's not you probably didn't design it that way, that you would be alone and want to either look for love again, or maybe create a whole different life. But we talk about relationships here. So I'm more concerned about, once you look for a man again, what you do, how you do this, and all of that. Not today, but all of this will be coming in this longer series of relationship issues. So when a relationship goes sour, we often question how this happen? How could this happen? And we are often quick to judge and quick to blame, and even quicker to establish our right to be upset, our right to be disappointed and feel unjustly penalized, maybe even feeling betrayed. Do you experience emotional turmoil, maybe something that feels like a never-ending roller coaster or like a merry-go-round that you cannot stop. Once it starts, especially when it goes in your head, finding all of the complaints, your mind is unbound and your emotions can create such drama. Yes or yes? When you find yourself in this quagmire of emotional turmoil, it often means that your expectations have not been fulfilled, that you have been badly disappointed, that your wishes have not been fulfilled. And you have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting even still, because you were hoping that something will happen, something will change. But did it? So what are you waiting for? Maybe you wait for a better relationship to just pop up, or for your partner to change. But do you really think that the responsibility for change lies with the other person? Or even that the other person, your partner, should really know how to make you happy? So much to say about that. And I'm not saying you should go into a relationship without expectations or any expectations. That's why it's good to really write down what kind of relationship you really want and want to experience. There are so many different ways to experience and to experience an amazing relationship. They can all look very, very differently. But coming back to expectations, if you could let go of all expectations, what would that look like? Of course, it's almost impossible to let go of all expectations. It's impossible to reach that all. We always have some expectations, and yet if you could if you could let go just in your imagination of all expectations, what would that look like? Wouldn't there be a tremendous amount of room, of freedom, of space? Well, from a spiritual, from a higher plane's point of view, it would really be personal illumination. It would mean self-mastery. No expectations? Yes. But the reality is that we do have expectations, expectations of certain outcomes in our relationships. And therefore, it is necessary to know as much about yourself and your partner and what kind of relationship you are looking for, what kind of relationship you are entering into and building on, especially if you want a long-lasting relationship. Does that make sense? I hope so. You and I have a desire to attract and develop the best relationship possible. Yes, of course. And we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to be disappointed. We want to have our expectations fulfilled. Yes, even if part of us knows it's probably not going to happen. But if, goodness gracious, that makes us outrageously happy, even in our imagination. And sometimes we can take such a trip in our imagination, because your imagination creates reality in your physical body. It creates a certain chemistry of excitement and happiness and those endorphins that makes you just not just happy, but just silly happy, right? Makes you childlike happy, innocently happy, sexy happy, whatever. Your imagination is boundless, right? So take those trips. They are healthy. They are good for you. I don't want to say but here, so I better say and. And reality is that, unfortunately, life may have another agenda. Actually, your soul, your destiny, but let's say your soul may have another agenda. Because we are all here in this big schoolroom, right? We are here to learn how to expand our capacity to love, to accept, how to embrace, to forgive, how to let go, all of this. It's a little bit of a schoolroom, not just an endless bliss, right? So we must understand that we have certain agreements, soul agreements, that are part of every relationship, not just our partner's relationship. We have those also with friends, with family, with business. So that brings me to agreements. Agreements need to be taken seriously, and they also need to be mutually agreed upon and honored. But that does not mean that you have a blood contract. And yet, you must at least know what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable. And I've written a book about all of this, and it's on Amazon. You can get it there. The title is How to Up-Level Your Relationship or Leave Without Regret. Yes, everything is explained in this book. But healthy relationships develop over time. They change, they move, they breathe. A relationship is a living entity. It's not stagnant. A living entity, that something that moves and changes and expands and you know, has all these incredible possibilities, is never stagnant. Yes, I know. Sometimes we want it to be just stay the way it is. And we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to be stuck in this situation where we become so hopeless that we believe things will not change. They always do. Only if you believe it will not change, then you subconsciously, maybe unconsciously, unwillingly, could keep something in place, because maybe you are afraid, because sometimes even a prison cell can feel comfortable, right? But I don't want to go there right now. Expectations that are not fulfilled. Yes, that hurts. It still hurts when our expectations are not fulfilled. It hurts when we don't understand why something went so wrong. How could this have happened? Yet as long as we are in that kind of mind frame, in that emotional upheaval, we really cannot, and as long as we stay in that space, we cannot see any deeper purpose. And everything has a purpose. So what do? We must remove ourselves from the moment that we feel that pain, that stuckness, that hopelessness, to maybe have the opportunity to observe even a difficult situation from an impersonal position. I know it's not easy. But there is something that helps. And the first thing that helps is just acceptance of what is, acceptance of reality, because so often we are in our head and we wish something else and we are taken away on this roller coaster. You know it, right? And another thing that helps is time. Sometimes we have to give it time. Time plays a big factor in our lives and also in our relationships. And let me share something with you that you may not even have thought about when it comes to time and how time regulates so much. It is actually an immutable law of the universe that time has a certain rhythm. There is a budding in the beginning. There is a ripening in the middle. And so the ripening is the maturity, and then comes the decay, the end, and then the new beginning, and then the end, and then the new beginning. And this repeats itself. It is the rhythm of life, of everything in life, our life as well. You see it in nature. We don't always experience this consciously, yet endings and new beginnings are part of even our long-standing relationships that we don't leave. But within our relationships, we have those cycles, those beginnings, the budding, the ripening, the ending, and the new beginnings. And even though that is true, it is also true that nothing ever gets lost. Nothing ever gets lost. When you think about all of the love relationships you can remember, you may have lived through, look at them maybe at some time, bring them back into your memory and look at them with fresh eyes, eyes of loving acceptance and gratitude, because even those that didn't end very well, as I said before, time heals. Acceptance heals. The love you have shared with somebody at any time during your life will go on forever, will never die. Love cannot be erased. The person can die or you leave your relationship, yet the energy that existed, the frequency of the shared love will live on forever. Isn't that comforting? To me, it is comforting. So if you find yourself in a situation where you ask yourself, should I go or should I stay? You're not alone. Too many women actually are in this never really knowing, in this area of agony and suffer needlessly. Ending a relationship with the person can be very painful and can also escalate into big drama sometimes. And yet the drama is a defense at best. The drama is a game of the ego and its instinct to protest change. The ego doesn't like change. You know that, right? When you are hurt, when you are disappointed, when a relationship breaks, the ego is angry, maybe frightened, maybe feels threatened, not safe, maybe even furious. But it is unnecessary drama, nothing more. You may say, yes, all right, Angelika, I can get this as a concept. But in reality, the drama feels unavoidable and sickening. Even after years, it still sticks I remember when a woman told me that even after years, when she thinks about it, that thought really punishes her, almost like stabs her. And it robs her with her energy. It robs her joy. And when she thinks that she's over it, the whole drama with all of those ugly memories get triggered somehow again, repeatedly, but the slightest memory of even a tune or a smell or a place. Yes, that can happen. And it is universal law that every action that has a consequence, right? There is a sequence to things that happen, stories that develop. Yet there is no punishment in anything. It's just the consequence of a certain development, of certain actions that you took, that he took. So maybe since you can only take responsibility for yourself, you can see that maybe next time you choose a different action so that you receive a different outcome, a different consequence. That can be an action, how you respond to something, what you actually do if you leave. There are a million possibilities. And sometimes it happens, and it happens to me too, that I forget that the consequences are always according to the actions I take. Because sometimes you and I think that probably has happened to you as well. So I can say we get lucky with a lucky strike and are not presented with the consequence of an action we took, but favored in some way. We may believe that certain consequences do not apply to us, but that's not really the case, right? Because sooner or later we get the result of an action or the actions we took. This is also true when it applies to your partner. And you feel that you have been wronged, you are the victim. You are only the victim if you make yourself the victim. You are not responsible for your partner, not for his actions. You're only responsible for you. Knowing this is part of our personal development. And not trying to get away with something, but taking responsibility for all of our actions. It's not only a sign of maturity, but it also feels good because it empowers us into a greater experience of self-worth. Yes? I am sure you can think of many examples. And not just something that just comes to mind right now, which is really infidelity, right? Some get away with it, some once or twice, and yet what does it do to the self-worth and self-respect of the one that gets away? But again, no judgment here. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about soulmates and the soulmate relationship. But for some reason, I always seem to run a little bit out of time. So, but now you know what we are going to talk about in our next episode. It's going to be about soulmate relationships. I have written a book about it. I have talked about it on stages, and it's an amazing subject. And because I met my soulmate, I married him, then I divorced him because I didn't know what a soulmate was. A soulmate is not a bliss bunny, let me tell you that. But it is the partner that your soul has called to you for you to grow, for each other, to help each other grow. So would that be something that you are interested in exploring, please come to our next session on Saturday when I'm going to talk about this, and bring your friends. So we have a discussion in the second part, yes, of the hour. And if not, then you will always have the opportunity to get the replay. Look in the archives, look at the titles and see what you like. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed my time with you. And again, please come be with me live every Saturday at 12 Pacific time, noon, or 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's where I live. Okay, so I see you again next week. Until then, think about your relationships. What do you want in your relationships? And make it so. And if you like, become a part of my group, Facebook group, your Radiant Life over 45. That's how it's called in the Facebook. And we will discuss so many things, everything that concerns us women, mature women over 45. Okay, bye-bye for now.